Today I'm going to show you a recipe. It's another crock pot recipe, and I call this Lazy Homesteader Potato Soup. And we're going to start with a few basic ingredients. Just because you have a basic ingredient does not mean it's not delicious stuff. And I do this soup in a crock pot because a lot of times you got a lot going on a homestead and I don't really have time to deal with dinner. So the first thing I'm going to show you is I have a drinks cup from Quick Trip, any of you who are in the Midwest, and what this holds is liquid gold. Inside of here is turkey broth, and if you look at the date of it, I made this turkey broth from one of our grass-fed turkeys that I cooked just before Thanksgiving. I was making some turkey sandwiches and stuff, and I made turkey broth. And rather than try to waste one of my good containers, I just filled this big old container full of turkey broth, and I put a plastic on the top of it, put the drinks lid on top of it, and you know, it's perfect for storing my turkey broth. We're going to get this soup broth into the crock pot. And this is frozen, like I say, but I want you to get a gander of that broth. The bottom end of it there, that's turkey meat. And then we have the goldeny broth, and there's a little bit of fat still left on it. So that is some good bone broth. After I cook the turkey, I put the bones back in the crock pot, and I let it cook for overnight at least. Sometimes I cook them for a whole day. And I add a little bit of apple cider vinegar into the bones, and I let it cook till the meat's completely gone from the bones. Many times the bones are even slightly softened by the time I'm done. Take out the bones and let the broth cool. Put it in that cup, put it in the freezer, and we're off to races for the next dinner. So this is where we're starting ahead. Got my crock pot set on high. And we're going to let that go. While it melts, I'm going to start getting the potatoes and stuff ready. I'm a busy homesteader. I got things to do, places to be, things to work on. I don't have time for dinner. So we're going to start this whole recipe off. I have 5 large, these are great big white potatoes. I think actually that is usually about 1 potato per person eating, plus an extra potato for the pot. That's usually how you do it. You can put an extra 2 potatoes for the pot if you want to. That gives you a little bit of leftovers. Whenever possible, I try to buy organic potatoes. Like I said, I'm a lazy homesteader. This is how I do it. I'm going to turn on the water. The reason I buy organic potatoes whenever possible is because I don't want to take my time peeling. So I'm just going to take my scrubber and I really scrub them clean. That's the first step. Now, organic potatoes are better when you're using the skin. I think they're probably better anyway, but that keeps less chemicals out of the diet. So we're going to clean that potato, just scrub it, and then got my favorite weapon, which is a rotting knife. And we are going to just start cutting our potatoes. And this is no chef. This is somebody who cuts like grandma. So we want the potatoes cut, and we want chunks. So I've got this cup here that our broth was in. I rinsed it out with a little hot water. And we're just going to use that because lazy homesteaders don't have any time to do extra dishes either. So I'm just going to cut the potato up right into that cup. Okay. And if you see any bad spots, you can trim them away. But we're just making quick work out of this. Like you said, you can see I've got good size inch pieces. This is not a soup for sissies. If you see you like a smoother soup or whatever, you can always mash it up or run it through a blender or something later on, but homesteaders is hungry folk, so I see no point in that. So I'm going to just continue to get these potatoes ready. and I'll tell you the next step. I really like my big stainless steel commercial sink, and one of the most important reasons why I like it is because when I've got this debilitating arthritis, I have a office chair, and I can do most of my prep work sitting in the office chair, and since it's a commercial sink, it has legs, and I can pull my office chair right up to the sink, so I'm nice and close, and I can stay sitting the whole time I'm doing my prep work. And if you're someone who has trouble being on your feet, like I do, it really saves the day to be able to sit while you work. Probably keeps everybody in a better mood if they just try it. But like I said, we're just trying to keep the prep as fast as possible with this. I'm just cutting the potatoes in half, cutting them lengthwise, and then I'm varying. You can turn your potato a little bit if you want to change the size of your chunks. Kind of keep them a little more uniform. It's kind of the fat one, so I'm probably going to make a little extra cut out of that one. As you can see, it's working pretty good. You can also use chicken broth when you're making your potato soup. I guess you could use vegetable broth, but we're carnivores around here, so I don't bother with that. That's a nice pot of potatoes. Our next ingredient is an onion, and I like to use a yellow onion, and I'm going to use a whole onion. I need a bowl to put the onion in, but we can save that bowl and have soup out of it later. So this is how a lazy homesteader cuts an onion. I'm going to take it at the top, and I'm going to cut the core out, just like this. I'm going to take my knife, and we're going to peel it. Take all this peeling back, and we're going to just right across the top. And I don't want to make a deep cut because I'm trying to leave that core in. Okay, now I'm going to just cut it in my hand, and I'm not going to cut through that root. I'm going to leave it attached to the root. You see it kind of holds it. I'm going to go through the onion several times. Do be careful, don't cut yourself. But this is how I learned to cut onion from Grandma Nettie, and I've been cutting it like this for a long time, and you get used to it. Okay, now I've got my onion so it looks like a little butterfly kind of, but the root end is still holding it together. Now I'm going to hold it over my bowl, and I'm going to cut basically thick slices. I do not want the onions diced small. I want nice little chunks like that, similar to the potato. I think a chunky soup is more filling soup, gives you some variety in the flavors. I just really like it. And my family does too. So that's how I do it. Just cut our onion out. And as you see, I'm just kind of turning it around. It's a strong onion, but by holding it down in the sink, it's not going to hurt my eyes this bad either. Okay. And I cut till I get to the bottom. And basically you can just trim right around that root end. And that goes away, and you have one whole coarsely diced onion. Here we are at the soup pot. Now, this broth has been in there for a little bit. It's still pretty frozen, but it's starting to get hot. And if I take my knife, it's starting to get close. I can kind of break it up to pieces. If I take this knife in here and kind of start breaking it up a little bit. Okay. Get that down in that crock pot. It'll thaw out faster. And we're making magic happen. Okay. Now, I don't call this lazy homesteader soup for nothing. In go the potatoes. In go the onions. On goes the lid. I got stuff to do. Be back in a while. Okay, I came in for a second, back to the soup. I'm just going to take my spoon, trouncing around in there a little bit. Start mixing it up just a tad bit. That's all I got time for. It's been a couple hours. I'm passing by that pot again, see what's going on here. Smelling good. And you can see right now, when you look, all the turkey, little pieces of turkey meat that was left in that broth. It's looking good, and that is smelling good. We have a little bit longer to go to get our potatoes cooked. Give it a little taste. The main thing I'm tasting for right now is a little salt. Put a little salt in there. And put a little black pepper in there. And we're going to put a little garlic powder in there. Now, this pot has got a little shimmer to the top because there's plenty of fat in that chicken broth. If it was a commercial chicken broth, or I used a real lean chicken broth that I drained all the fat out of, I would add a little bit of butter to the pot at this time. We're not going to do that. Now we're going to doctor this up just a little bit more, because this is a good chicken and potato soup with onions right now, but we do cream of potato soup at our house. So here I have a bowl of milk, and why I have the milk in a bowl is because I just heated it in the microwave to get it hot. I do not want to add cold milk to my pot. Now I'm going to add a little more milk, and this time it's going to be in the form of powdered milk. And I know what you're thinking, powdered milk's nasty, but powdered milk's cheap, and it will add a tremendous amount of richness to this soup. You can add quite a bit. You'll notice I've got powdered milk in an old Gatorade bottle, and the reason I do that is because it's cheaper to buy milk powder in those big boxes that they sell it in. And if anybody's ever had one of those to deal with, you realize when you open it up you can't seal them up right anymore. So it doesn't work very well. I always open mine up and put them all into a scrubbed clean Gatorade bottle. Keeps it dry and easy to use, like I just saw. Okay, I got that milk powder and about a cup and a half to 2 cups of milk in there. We're going to let her heat up some more. It's almost supper time, folks. Alright, since the last time I added a little bit of milk, I went out and did evening chores, got everybody fed, and I'm hungry. We've been busy all day. And our soup is ready. The potatoes are soft, but they still have texture. The onions still have a little nip. And believe you me when I say this is going to be some good eating. I'm going to dip that up. Look at that, it's ready to go. It's been 3 hours since I put that frozen block of turkey broth in the pot. The potatoes are nice and tender. The onions still got a little bit of taste to it, but it's cooked well. I have a gluten-free English muffin on the side. You've been with me the whole time I've cooked this thing and have seen how many times I had to tend the pot. Doesn't take much. I can put this on low, let it sit for a while. It can keep on getting good. My son's going to come eat with us in a little bit. And like I said, this is lazy dinner. It's as quick as you can get it and as easy as you can get it. And sometimes you need good meals like this on a homestead because you're hungry, you need something hearty that'll fill you up, warm you up when it's cold, and yet you don't have the time to deal with making a complicated dinner. And give it a try. You'll like it. Thanks for watching.